Good morning, church. Y'all have to bear with me for a minute. Thought I would be all right. Um, at Multiply, we're not in the buildings business. We're in the kingdom building business. And I couldn't help to laugh this morning because we're in new walls. But when I was up here, I wish you all could see the view that I can see right now. And it's not the walls, and it's not the chairs, and it's not this blinking bloody light up here. It's the people. And you see, that's what makes a church. Matt said it briefly, and I told myself I wasn't going to do this. I was not going to do this. But when I got here, God said, you have to. So I'm going to. And first, I'm just going to say, I just want to know you to know what kind of pastor that you have that leads this church. Last week was our last Sunday at the place we spent years at. A place that blood, sweat, and tears, and we pushed a coffin from a closet to a room, and we did it every Sunday, every morning. And that was our going Sunday. He could have said, I want to be up there, I want to preach, I want to be behind the pulpit, but he did. He said, Matt, brother, I trust you. You're the one that I want to do that. I didn't realize that my Sunday was going to fall on this Sunday. If I would have realized it, I probably would have peed my pants. You see, I've spoken a lot of things. Speaking doesn't bother me that much. But what does bother me is knowing that God has something to say to you all and that I'm the vessel that he's used. So we sat in that room over there one night late, and I looked at him and I said, Robbie, are you sure you don't want to be up there? And he said, I appreciate you asking, but I want you to. And so not only did that instill confidence in me, but that should instill confidence in you, church, that you don't have a man who's looking for you to follow a man. You have a man who's looking to lead you to the king. So you see, we are in a new building today, and this is temporary as far as this setup. It's wonderful. Our butts feel so good in those nice, cushy chairs. Amen, Jay? Amen? But you know what? Just because the work of pushing that coffin from the closet to the room stops doesn't mean the work of the people stops. It's just different work now. There were some days when Kaylin and I were in the comfort of our own home, and we would say, did we make the right choice? Our kids, are they suffering because we're doing what we're doing? Because you see, those kids showed up at 8 o'clock every morning, and they were there with us, and they ran rampant from one side of that building to the other. They didn't have anything to go to on Wednesday nights. We started in a room at our old church that was no bigger than half of this stage, and I can see it. I can see it. When I was looking at y'all today, I can see the wall. I can hear the sounds, and I can tell y'all exactly what we were saying. I had just met Amy Cagle, and she was sitting to my side, and we were talking about what is our mission? Because you see, our mission was never to come and get into a building. Our mission was to take people in South Hall County and to grow them and to make and build disciples. That's our mission. You see, this that you're seeing here is exciting. It gives you a buzz. It gives you momentum. But what you don't understand is that this building is just a building. These chairs are just chairs. These lights are just lights, and they're going to malfunction. But what we're here to do as a body, and not me, I'm not qualified to be up here. I'm no better than anybody else out there. But what I am is I'm a vessel. And God is going to use me. And he's going to use you. And he's going to use those kids. Because I can tell you one thing. Did our kids suffer? Maybe. But I guarantee you, I was talking to Macy this morning, and we were driving in, and we were talking, and she said, Daddy, what's that room going to be used for when we get down to the big church down there? And I said, it's going to be a youth room. And she says, I only got one more year. I thought, man. And I saw that picture Rush put up there last week of all our kids. A lot of the kids weren't even born yet. They were tiny. Hayden was Macy's age. And they were in the back of that trailer that we pulled up to the back. And we unloaded it. And we did it not because we wanted to do it. We did it because we knew God had called us to do it. That's why we did it. So normally when I get up here and talk to you guys, I say that I'm not preaching, I'm teaching. But I think this morning I may be preaching. So this morning we're in Joshua chapter 3 and chapter 4. We've already read a verse, I believe, Gunner, out of chapter 4. So we're going to kind of break it down a little bit, but I'm going to open with this. All right. Now that my emotions are out of the way, we're going to really get into it now. Have you ever stood in front of something that felt absolutely impossible? Maybe it was a diagnosis, maybe a decision, a dream so big it scared you. I want you guys to picture this: an entire nation standing on the edge of a river at flood stage. And I looked up what flood stage was, because I would have just said it was just full. But, Joshua said it's at flood stage, which means that it's very dangerous. It's very murky. There's 0 bridges. There's raging waters. It's dangerous. And God says, step in. Not wait, not pray about it for days and hours, but step in. So have you ever been there? I want you to think about your life, maybe where you are. So the people of Israel found themselves in that exact position in Joshua 3. And what they did next didn't just change their story. What we're doing at Multiply today and beyond is not just changing our story, it is changing the future people who will be at Multiply's story as well. Today, I want to talk about the kind of faith that steps forward when everything in you says stay put. The hesitation. And remembering what God has already done can give you the courage to move forward into the impossible. So my bottom line is stepping into the impossible, but stepping out before it makes sense. All right, let's go ahead and start with Joshua 3. You just have to bear with me. We're going to read some verses today. Not all of them, but we are going to read a good bit of them. Okay, so the Jordan at flood stage. Here we go. Chapter 3, verse 1. Early in the morning, Joshua and all the Israelites set out from Shittim and went to the Jordan, where they camped before crossing over. Don't worry, I Googled that word. That's not a bad word. After 3 days, the officers went throughout the camp, giving orders to the people. When you see the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God and the Levitical priests carrying it, you are to move out from your positions and follow. Remember that. Follow it. Then you will know which way to go, since you have never been this way before. But keep a distance of about 2,000 cubits between you and the ark. Do not go near it. So imagine they're at this river. It's flooding. It's overflowing. There's no bridge. And he says, then you will know which way to go. Why will you know which way to go? Because God, the Ark of the Covenant. Now, the Ark of the Covenant. What is the Ark of the Covenant? The Ark of the Covenant, it was I looked it up multiple places. This is what I kind of concluded. It was a sacred gold-covered wooden chest that represented God's presence with his people. It was the most important object in the tabernacle and later in the temple. What was inside of it? The stone tablets of the 10 Commandments. So we're talking a very important box. But what it really did is it represented God. It represented his presence, who he was, okay? So that's what they're going to follow. The priests are going to be in the front. They're going to have the Ark of the Covenant, and they're going into this thing. Verse 5, Joshua told the people, consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do amazing things among you. Joshua said to the priest, take up the Ark of the Covenant and pass on ahead of the people. So they took it up and went ahead of them. And the Lord said to Joshua, today I will begin to exalt you in the eyes of all Israel, so they may know that I am with you as I was with Moses. Tell the priests who carry the Ark of the Covenant, when you reach the edge of the Jordan's waters, Go and stand in the river. So basically what he's asking them to do is they're there at the edge of this water, and he's saying, you go stand in the water, and when you do so, you will see my presence. You will experience my presence, and we're going to find out exactly what that means. So, I think I was in verse 10. This is how you will know that the living God is among you, and that he will certainly drive out before you the Canaanites, and then I will mispronounce all of those people, so we're going to skip them. He said, see, the ark of the covenant of the Lord of all the earth will go into the Jordan ahead of you. Now then, choose 12 men from the tribes of Israel, one from each tribe. And as soon as the priests who carry the ark of the Lord of all the earth, set foot in the Jordan, its waters flowing downstream will be cut off and stand up in a heap. So that's like some Harry Potter stuff. They go in, they step, the waters just break, and all of a sudden, they had dry land. Not even damp. It says somewhere that's not even damp. It's just, man, the waters just go up on both sides. Now, how is this relative to what I'm talking about today? If you remember when I was opening up, I was talking about, have you ever been in a place in your life where there was something you wanted to do, a decision, maybe something in life that seemed so hard to you? Maybe you thought about planting a church in South Hall County. Maybe you thought to yourself, I may want to quit that job that I've always had, or I want to start that business that I've always wanted to start, or God's calling me to be a missionary and overseas. Whatever it may be for you. You see, this is God showing us with the priest stepping into the water and it parting its ways and heaping up on each side, and the confidence it would take to step between those two bodies of water just above you, towering over you, thinking, well, if I get into the middle of this, is it going to collapse? No, you have to have faith. You have to know that God will take care of you. And that by carrying the Ark of the Covenant, these priests at the forefront, it was showing the people of Israel that, listen, come follow me. He wants you to step first. See, you take a step. What I'm talking about today, you may hear me and say, oh, well, what he's saying is I gotta do this and God will make it easy and it'll just, everything will work out. No, that is not what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is God said step first. Step first. As it always happens whenever we're able to teach and have the honor to come up here and speak to you, church, it preaches and speaks to me more than probably even you guys. There's been so many times in my life where God has said, do it, and I've heard him, and I've known that's God, and I've just stayed. I've stayed stationary. I've hesitated, and I'm sure that you all have too at some point in your life. Now, the cool part about this story is what happens kind of following this, all right? So here we are. So when the people broke camp to cross the Jordan, the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant went ahead of them. Now the Jordan is at flood stage all during harvest. Yet as soon as the priests who carried the ark reached the Jordan and their feet touched the water's edge, the water from upstream stopped flowing. It piled up in a heap a great distance away at a town called Adam in the vicinity of Zarethan, while the water flowing down to the Sea of the Arabah, that is the Dead Sea, was completely cut off. So the people crossed over opposite Jericho. The priests who carried the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord stopped in the middle of the Jordan. They just stopped. They're chilling. They're just literally hanging out in the middle of the Jordan, right at this point. And stood on dry ground, while all Israel passed by until the whole nation had completed the crossing on dry ground. The entire nation, not one, not two, the entire nation crossed. Now, that's the obstacle, the thing that God might be calling you to do. That's the beginning. That's chapter 3. Now, chapter 4, we talk about how God reminds us, and we're going to get to that, and we're going to talk about the stones. God's presence is leading us, and he's making sometimes the impossible possible, because there's no way the water should do that. The only way it happens is if God works and he's trying to show us. He's not trying to flex his power. He is trying to show us who he is and what he can accomplish, because in our puny minds, we think to ourselves, no, I can't do this. No, I can't go do that. Or no, I'm too old for this. Or no, God, I don't want to write that book that you've been telling me to write for years and years. I can't. I'm not an author. I'm not a singer. I'm not a this. I'm not a that. But God says to us, haven't I always been faithful before? Have I not shown you over and over and over again in your life? You start a church 7 years ago. You start getting momentum. A pandemic comes through. Did I not take care of you? Did I not get you to where you are today? So maybe you're sitting there today and you're thinking to yourself, I have that thing. There's that thing that I've been wanting to do. I want to do this. I want to be this. Well, do it. Be it. You see, God is not going to put handcuffs on you, but he's also not going to do it for you because he's asking you to step. You see, he told the priest to step. He didn't say, I'm going to part the waters, then step. No, what he did is he said, you take your foot and you put it at the end of the water and you step down and then, boom, I'll part the waters. You see, our God can do anything. Anything. So the moment you start thinking or worrying or saying, God, are we ever going to get out of this God-forsaken community center? He says to you, we will, son, in my time. But you keep stepping forward. You keep pushing that coffin. You keep taking the things that I've given you and the blessings that I've given you, and you go. See, God's not going to do it for you. He's going to take what you have and he's going to use it. Just like Matt said last week, he will use the most improbable of people to do his will. Now, chapter 4 is where it gets fun. Chapter 4 is where we talk about the stones and what the stones mean. When the whole nation had finished crossing the Jordan, the Lord said to Joshua, choose 12 men from among the people, one from each tribe, and tell them to take up 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan, from right where the priests are standing, and carry them over with you and put them down at the place where you stay tonight. So Joshua called together the 12 men he had appointed from the Israelites, one from each tribe, and said to them, go over before the ark of the Lord your God into the middle of the Jordan. Each of you is to take up a stone on his shoulder. I mean, think about this. These guys are probably like, I just got out of this water and I'm just stepping out and I'm like, oh, thank the Lord, that water's not going to collapse on me. And then Joshua was like, no, bro, you got to go back to the middle and pick up a stone. Go to the middle and pick up a stone to serve as a sign among you. In the future, when your children ask you, what do these stones mean? This is important. He says, tell them that the flow of the Jordan was cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord. When it crossed the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off. These stones are to be a memorial to the people of Israel forever. These stones are to be a memorial for the people of Israel forever. What are your stones? What are your stones? The moment when the cancer was gone, maybe that's your stone. When the anxiety lifted and peace that didn't make sense was there. When the bank account was almost empty, but the check came. When they got the job, or you got the job that you weren't qualified to get. When the business survived the pandemic and actually thrived. Your marriage, maybe it should have ended, but it didn't. Friendships that were broken, but were then reconciled. Maybe when you walked away from a wreck, when there's no way you should have. The addiction that was broken after years and years and years of struggle. The baby that showed up in the ultrasound after so many years of trying. I don't know what your stone is. I know mine. And there are many. Maybe your stone is when you got sober. Or like I said, when the bills couldn't come through. But right now, I want you to think in your mind, what are your stones? Because I could pile them up behind me, all of mine. And I'd one after the other, I'd throw them and I'd say, God, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for this stone. Thank you, God, for this stone. And every time I look at them and every time I lay one down, I think to myself over and over, it's because of you, God, and your goodness and your grace and your forgiveness that I have faith for today and hope for tomorrow, and I can put my stones and I can stack them up, and in a moment of just darkness, I can say, look at my stones. These are all God showing me. Go pick that stone up from the middle of Jordan, and when you need it most, you have it to show God's faithfulness. So I don't know what your stones are today. I don't even want to try to wonder, but you know exactly what they are. So let's keep reading. So the Israelites did as Joshua commanded them. They took 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan, according to the number of the tribes of the Israelites, as the Lord had told Joshua, and they carried them over with them to their camp, where they put them down. Joshua set up the 12 stones that he had been in the middle of the Jordan at the spot where the priest who carried the Ark of the Covenant had stood, and they are there to this day. The stones don't go away. The stones are with you. They're there your entire life. Now I'm going to skip down a little bit just for time purposes, and I want to read you starting on verse 17. Stay with me right here. So Joshua commanded the priests, come up out of the Jordan. And the priests came up out of the river, carrying the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord. No sooner had they set their feet on the dry ground than the waters of the Jordan returned to their place and ran at flood stage as before. On the 10th day of the first month, the people went up from the Jordan and camped at Gilgal on the eastern border of Jericho. And Joshua set up at Gilgal the 12 stones they had taken out of the Jordan. Now listen to these next few verses. He said to the Israelites, in the future, when your descendants ask their parents, what do these stones mean? You tell them, Israel crossed the Jordan on dry ground. For the Lord your God dried up the Jordan before you until you had crossed over. The Lord your God did to the Jordan what he had done to the Red Sea, when he dried it up before us until we had crossed over. I love this last verse. He did this so that all the peoples of the earth might know that the hand of the Lord is powerful, and so that you might always fear the Lord your God. Now that will preach. That verse right there, so that all the peoples of the earth may know. I'm not going to lie to you guys. There's been times recently in the past few months where I've been in my thoughts and God is talking to God, and I keep saying over and over again, I can't do this. This is impossible. What am I going to do? And God just keeps reminding me, did I not send you the stones? Can you not remember that time? The things that I've done for you piling up. You see, God is always on our side. He doesn't mean that life is going to be easy. That's not what these chapters mean. What these chapters mean is that God's power is on display, and if we can't look at his power and display and say, God, you've taken care of me before, you're going to take care of me now. If you can't see that's what God is saying in these two chapters, and there's so much more we could even get into, but what is God calling you to do? You may be thinking to yourself, I'm too old. I'm at a stage of life or a season of life. I can't do this. Or God, I'm not in the position where I can do this. What do you mean, God, you want me to do that? Instead of doing all of that talking and back and forth, you just say, God, okay, I'm going to step into the water. And God, I'm going to know that when I step into the water, I'm not going to drown with worldly things. God, I'm going to see it part like you did not only the Red Sea, but Jordan when the Israelites were walking across. He's not going to get you halfway. He's not going to get you to the end and then drown you. He's going to get you to the very end. He's going to get you on dry ground. That's what God is here to do. So today I'm going to ask you from the bottom of my heart and from what God's calling me to say, what is your thing? What is it that God has been calling you to do for so long and you just won't do it? For whatever reason, maybe you're scared. Maybe you've seen someone else fail. Maybe you failed. You may not accomplish it on the first time. He never said that you would. Russ, can you pull up that song, the lyrics? Kaylin, what's the name of that song that Keely sang? I will provide. The Lord will provide. Pull that up, Russ. We just sang this. Read this song and the lyrics. I make him pull it up here, Russ, on my thing right here. Read this song. This right here. I have been singing this poorly, by the way, for a while. Everything I need, my Father has it. My Father has it. Listen to this next part. Every single time the Lord will provide. My Father has it. My Father has it. And I love verse 2. Look at the sparrow, lacking for nothing. Look around you, church. Is Multiply lacking right now? We are not lacking. We have a building. And we have another building down there that's going to look so much better than this. It's going to blow your mind. We are not lacking. It says, if I have you, I have enough. Is that true for you? Because that's what he's wanting you to say. He's not here to say it's going to be easy, but he says, God, if I have you, I have enough. Yeah, I'm going to cross the Jordan. I don't know what my destination is. I don't know where you're going to lead and guide me, God, but I have enough. You're enough, God. Not me, you're enough. So what is your thing today? In the bridge, it says, seek first. Y'all better be glad I'm not singing like Matt did. It would be bad. He says, seek first the kingdom and its treasures. The kingdom and its treasures. We didn't seek a building. We seeked the kingdom first, and the building came later. You see what I'm saying? The building came after the treasures. If we went and we left Montgomery and we said, we're going to seek out a building, that's what we're going to do. No, God, we're going to seek out a place, four walls. We didn't say that. What did we say we're going to do? We're going to be and make disciples. We're going to make disciples and make them and make them and make them, because that's what God's called us to do. And then after the treasures, look, everything else, this line, everything else, it will be added. All that I'm needing, I know the Lord will provide. I know my God's not empty-handed. He's not empty-handed, church. He's not empty-handed because he's going to part the waters, and he's going to have you in the middle of those waters, and it may get scary and it may get uncomfortable, but my goodness, by the time you're on dry ground on the other end, you're going to say to yourself, God, how did you do this? Because right now, I'll be honest, we're not all the way at the very end of the river yet, but right now on the stage, looking at all of you out there in this building, man, I feel like, God, oh my God, I feel like my feet are at least a little dry right now, and man, this is a pretty good look. He gives us blessings upon blessings. He's given me blessings upon blessings upon blessings. And if you can't see that in your life, I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, because it's not, church. But what it's going to be is when you get to the end of your race, when you get to the end of where God has you. The reason I was so emotional up here, I couldn't even play the bass. If that was Guitar Hero, the game would have been over. That was awful. The reason why is because God inside me was welling up, and he was saying, you see, Dusty, this isn't the end of your race, but man, you're on the right track. So again, I ask you, church, I don't know what it is today that you have. I don't know what he's calling you to do, but I do know that when he says he did this so that all the peoples of the earth might know that the hand of the Lord is powerful, and so that you might always fear the Lord your God. He didn't say that you would always go, whatever. He didn't say any flowery words. He said, fear the Lord of God. The Lord your God. Why fear? Because we fear how powerful the things that we're afraid of the most, the things that, oh no, we're cozy. We have a nice church. We have a nice building. I know all these people. They raised me from when I was little. That's easy. But what's not easy is saying we're done here, and we're going to take a few families, and we're going to step out into faith, and we're going to step into the water, and we're going to say, God, you part them. God, you just part them. And I can tell you right now, church, I'm not on the other end yet, but I'm in the middle right now, and I'm looking up, and I'm seeing, God, I'm here. I'm trusting you. And I got my stones in a bag, and I'm carrying, and I'm saying, God, You just get us to where you want me to get us. So what is your legacy going to be? How are you going to be remembered? That's what I kept dealing with this week. I was walking one afternoon, started too early. It was 98 million degrees, and I was sweating, and I was like, God, I should have walked on the treadmill. What am I doing? And I'm out there, and God's like, no, we're out here right now. I'm going to teach you some stuff. And the one thing that he kept saying to me over and over again was that song. And I'm so glad Russ, I believe, put those songs together, and him and Matt did such a good job. But man, we have faith for today, and we have hope for tomorrow. Because our God is big, and our God is powerful. So I don't know what mountain you're facing right now. And Matt, y'all can go ahead and get ready to come up here. I don't know what is going on in your life. I don't know if it's a sickness. I don't know if it's a infertility. I don't know if it's a drug. I don't know if it's an addiction. I don't know if it's anxiety. I don't know if it's depression. But what I do know, it doesn't matter what any of those things are. It doesn't matter which one is yours. He says it's a catch-all. You come to my God, you come to this altar right here today. Is it going to fix it? Is your life going to be easy? No, but he'll say you take carry up and you step into the water. You step into the water and you watch what I do, because I'll tell you right now, a year ago, this church didn't have a youth pastor. What does our church have now? He stood up here a while ago. He's a good-looking gentleman with curly hair. We have a youth pastor. If you don't think I was worried that Macy told me on the way over here that I'm 1 year away from the youth group, what am I going to do? Well, God, we don't have a youth group. Well, we do now. We do now. And not only do we have a youth group, but we got a gentleman who has the heart for my kids. Not my kid, your kids. And so when people come and they visit now, guess what we do? We get to introduce them to that young man right there and his sweet wife. And we get to say, you know what, God? We didn't know, are we going to have a youth group? I don't know. I'm stepping in the water. You don't need the whole plan. You don't need to know exactly the destination. What you need to know is that your God is big and he's powerful, and he will take care of you like he has done in the past, and he is going to do in the present, and he is going to do again in the future. And he's going to do this well after we're gone. He's going to do it, and I hope to God that building down there, well after Robbie steps off the stage, well after we're no longer elders, well after all of you, don't get this wrong, may be in a grave, there's going to be people there that are leading people to Jesus because of the step that we took 7 to 8 years ago. And it's not just us and our families, it is you all too. So in closing, I just want to ask you, as we worship, I don't care if you come up here, but I'll be honest with you, it sure does look good up here. But if you're out there right now and you're saying to yourself, Dusty, I have a thing. I know what mine is. But there's so many reasons why I didn't do it or haven't done it. I want you to come down here. I want you to bow at your seat. We're not in the business of trying to make big scenes, but what we are in the business of is changing people's lives through God and what he's doing in us. And so I want to ask you, as they play and they sing, that you do whatever work you got to do with God. And you say, God, I'm here. I'm open. I'm stepping. I'm taking a step in faith, and I'm stepping and I'm knowing, I'm saying, God, I know you got me. You got me. You've had me my whole life. And maybe today you're out there and you're thinking to yourself, I don't know what you're even talking about. What do you mean you got me? This faith thing? Well, I can tell you right now, if you don't know what I'm talking about and you don't know Jesus Christ, there's a bunch of people in here that you come down here right now, they will help you understand. It's just about a relationship. That's it. It's about knowing God and knowing how powerful he is. So as we sing this last song, I want you to do work with God and say, God, I'm here. I'm raising my hands up. And I'm saying, Jesus, please let me see what that song says when it says in the chorus, look at the sparrow lacking for nothing. You lack for absolutely nothing, church. no fear of tomorrow and what it will bring. I'll be honest with you, church, here lately in my personal life, I've been fearful of tomorrow and what it's going to bring because I'm scared. But you know what? At the end of the day, when I lay my head down and I pray, God says, I got you. This thing is scary you're dealing with. This thing is big that you're dealing with. But you know what, Dusty? I got you. And there is no better words to hear than when you lay your head on the pillow at night and you're thinking to yourself all of the day, you're repeating all the things that went wrong and all the lights that were flickering and all the things that should have been different. But then your Father places his powerful hand, which it says in verse 24, on your head, and he just says, I got you. Because you see, he does. He has you. It's not easy. And he's not saying what it's going to be easy. And that's what I kept dealing with myself. I'm like, God, I want it to be easy. I had this thing going on in my life, and I don't want to worry anymore. I don't want to think about these things, and bad things could happen. It could go this way. It could go that way. But God said, settle down, son. You step, and you watch the waters part. Everything I need, my Father has it. Remember what God has done, so you can move into what God is doing. If you don't remember what God has done, you will be stuck in cement forever and ever. But if you let him take you up by the hand and the bootstrap and just say, listen, Dusty, I got you. Listen, I got your family. I'm going to take care of your family. I'm going to take care of the people you love. I'm here. I've been here this entire time. All I'm asking is you look. So what are you dealing with that you need to look? How do you need to step? Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, God, I just am so thankful this morning that the words coming out of my mouth, God, they were yours. They weren't mine, God. And I just want to thank you for whatever you allowed me to get across today, God. And if there's somebody out there right now, I don't know where they're sitting, if they're in the very back or the very front, it doesn't matter, God. I just want to ask that if there's somebody today dealing with something, the impossible, what they think to be the improbable, that they go grab somebody's hand and they take them down to the altar, or they kneel right there in their chair and they say, God, I'm here. I know, I hear you. I feel you. You got me. Jesus, thank you so much. I'm not thanking you today for a building, God. I'm thanking you today for the people you put in our paths along the journey that got us to where we are now when we stepped into the waters. None of our seasons are done, regardless of age. And God, we're here today shouting as Multiply Church, God, use us. Not this building, use us. This building will be used. It will be damaged. Kids will run, and we hope there's nicks all over this place, God, because we want this place to be full of kingdom building, disciple making. And we want people to start stepping into the waters that maybe they've not had the ability or want to do. God, I love you so much. I thank you for this word this morning. And we pray this in your name. Amen.